We are joined by Richard Clarke, former terrorism czar. He's written several books. Your government failed you among them. We are also joined by Mike Brooks, our own security analyst here. And Kelly Arena is joining us as well. She's our correspondent at Justice. Kelly, let's start this with you real quick. I understand that there has been some investigation or some discussion of what's going on in Justice, certainly after hearing this comment from the LA Police Chief Bratton. How would they respond to this, or what are you hearing?
Well, I'll tell you, Rick, I've been talking to federal law enforcement officials around the country for several days now, and here's what they're telling me. Number one, in several field offices, FBI field offices around the country, agents are out there basically scrubbing sources. They are going out and reconnecting, making sure that that they are up on any intelligence, any information that's out there on the streets about something that could be up. They are checking in with people who own places like chemical suppliers and such to make sure that everybody is aware of tripwires that are in existence to say, well, if there's a certain amount of chemical bought, or you know, to let us know. We need to know if there's anything suspicious going on. So that is already going on around the country. But I think it's very important to repeat something that Richard said earlier, which is that, you know, every single official I have spoken to has said that there has not been any credible or actionable intelligence that has come in suggesting that Al-Qaeda is planning any sort of an attack. As a matter of fact, Rick, most of the people that I spoke to have said that they're more concerned that 50% of this country is going to be pissed off either way come election day, okay? Because it's such a tight race as it is, and even though, you know, we're seeing some poll numbers, I mean, basically you're looking at 50% of the nation that are not going to get the guy they want in the White House, and they're worried about the level of anger, the level of frustration that exists in this country that may prompt someone who usually would not act out to act out. And that gets back to the conversation you were having earlier with Mike Brooks about a lone wolf. So just to give you a read on what, you know, those federal law enforcement guys have been telling me, you know, that's it.
It's interesting. It's almost the damage we can do to ourselves is greater than the damage that can be done to us. Richard Clarke, let me throw to you now this comment from this organization. It's a website that is credible only in name because they have run some of the tapes from Osama bin Laden in the past. And this is what they say. I think we can put it up on screen, by the way. This act will be in support of McCain because it will push the Americans deliberately to vote for McCain so that he takes revenge for them against Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda then will succeed in exhausting America till its last year in it. What are they saying, and why the reference to McCain? Your take, sir.
Well, Rick, I think at the highest level, we ought to say that as Americans, we don't give a damn who bin Laden wants or Al-Qaeda wants. We're going to make our own decision on who we're going to vote for, independent of them. Now, analytically, if you ask me who might they benefit from, they're clearly not going to benefit if Obama gets elected. If Barack Obama gets elected, we've already seen his popularity around the world. He's going to get a honeymoon period. And America is going to go from having very low levels of support in many countries around the world to having a lot of popularity if Barack Obama is elected. And then he'll have to deliver. But he'll have a honeymoon period. And that's not something that bin Laden wants to see or Al-Qaeda wants to see. But fundamentally, Rick, we shouldn't get caught up in this to the extent that any of us decide that we're going to change our vote because of what the damn terrorists think. You know, we have to decide who is the best president for us, who can deal with a whole range of problems best for us. And if something does happen, God forbid, in the next few days, if it's an attempt by bin Laden and Al-Qaeda to influence us, we should tell them to go to hell.
You warned the Bush administration about Al-Qaeda, and your warnings were ignored. It seemed that you were probably as competent a government official when it came to counterintelligence on the subject of terrorism as anyone. So I asked viewers today what question they would ask you. And the most prominent question out there, the one that was asked by most people, is this one. Let's go ahead and go to the Twitter board. The question to Richard Clarke: would he be willing to serve in the next administration? Don't mean to put you on the spot here, sir, but would you?
I'm supporting Senator Obama. I think he'd be the best president from a national security perspective. I've had the opportunity to brief him many times, and I'm very impressed by his understanding and knowledge of these issues and the people he's surrounded himself with. I'm sure he'll appoint a very good crew of people. You know, the Republican Party has kind of run through its people. I'm not sure it has a good crew to bring in right now. I've served 30 years in the federal government, and for whatever sin I committed that caused me to do 30 years of hard labor, I think that's probably enough.
Richard Clarke, our guest, thanks to you for taking time to talk to us, and good luck with your newest book.
Thank you, Rick.
Appreciate it. Mike Brooks, the issue of shopping centers, one that you and I have talked about, and I think we're going to be doing more stories on this, obviously, as we get nearer. Why do you believe that that's a particular vulnerability at this time?
Well, if you look, listen, let's take the Mall of America in Minnesota,
right.
Bloomington, Minnesota. You've got an amusement park, you've got kids, you've got retailers, and you bring all these people together. It's a perfect, a beautiful target. But I can tell you, I did some work with the International Council of Shopping Centers and the George Washington Homeland Security Policy Institute. Most of the security guards around the country have been given a course on chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, chemical awareness, and recognizing terrorist psychology, that kind of thing. So they're better prepared today than they were 9/11.
Kelly Arena mentioned something just a little while ago that we're going to be picking up on in just a little bit. And what she says is that folks in Washington are as worried about the harm that we can do to ourselves. Why is there so much apparent hate in the United States right now over this election? And what will it lead to? We're going to be joined by an expert on this in just a little bit. He's a social psychologist that deals with political psychology, what it's doing to us, and more. Stay with us. We'll be right back.